Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective, those who are curious about stories and also about points of views. Today we're going to start with stories and then we'll move to either IHP, late show, daytime show, a little bit also for yesterday's full moon, because I was able to share with you the messages. And if you're on YouTube, you can go to the post section. If you are listening on Spotify or another podcast platform, you can go to YouTube or you can go to Instagram. I share it on Instagram. I also have threads, so you can go there. Okay, and so in our next episode or whatnot, you're going to have some more on the full moon stuff. And also, FYI, we have some shorts as they roll on out. You will also hear about why self-help, emotional resilience work. It's fun for those of us who know how to be ourselves the smart way. And so we definitely have a fun time with our lovely 3D, 4D pretenders. And I said in the short that it'll be for another time, but I'm going to also talk about it here. And that's why I'm mentioning some of our shorts. So yes, I don't need you to see or soothe me, says a self-agent who knows the success of self-help. There's a gap in the self-help industry, which is why I got a guy, 3 years ago, who came on one of the shorts on Instagram. It was like, self-help bullshit, pseudoscience crap, something like that. It's like, well, it's not crap or bullshit, but it is for the ones who obviously have not their own self whole. And today I know there's a bunch of people who don't actually have the desire to be a high achiever and do the hard work. As Patrick Tiahan would point out, they're all the cowards who don't heal themselves. And as Stephen Porges would point out, instead of saying insecure, he says they don't have the comfortableness in co-regulating, and they don't have comfortableness in being in their ventral vagal state. Therefore, they do not have comfortableness in the state of love, which is also why they're 3D, 4D. And it's not a good or bad group, because 5D collective are all 3-year-old people who are either high achievers doing the hard work, and that's because you already healed all that stuff, because you don't do self-help or personal growth or spiritual growth if you can't grow. And left brain doesn't grow. It gets rigid after one negative experience. It closes itself off again and again and again, and it actually harbors resentment, anger, a lot of things. So, hard work isn't hard work for those of us who didn't need to do hard work. So I'm a high achiever and I'm a healthy perfectionist. This is my admission, and I'm pretty sure everybody already figured that. So I didn't need to do any hard work though, because I had the perfect environment. That's my embodied brain, but I also have a twin and a mom, and yes, fathers and a younger sister, and then I have grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles and all that. But you really only have the first 5 alloparenting are in the first 0 to 11 years of life. Then I chose my next alloparenting by the time I was 14. It took me some time to choose. I got the teenage boyfriend story all ready to tell you, and by the time I'm 20, I knew what cowards are made of, and to them 45, and they're the same cowards, which is why I said the 3D, 4D, we love pretenders. I was being sarcastic, but I was also saying, yeah, well, we love a challenge. I love to grow consistently in the presence of cowards, because they don't actually notice that they're cowards. And it's not satisfying in a way of I have an enemy. No, it's actually simply satisfying to know that I did have good Christian Catholic catechists. They taught me all about forgiving the way Jesus taught. And then God, he's only one, right? And so once I became a mystic, I knew that I wouldn't be welcomed by the ones who think that God has only one word and stuff like that. So, it's okay. Holy Spirit is still here too. So we bring it all in. Buddha, Ascended Masters, all the stories I do, and any enlightened 5D and beyond. They might use different words, but basically they know that nobody owns the spiritual subject matters, and nobody owns the science subject matters. We don't treat those books as if they are kept separate. That's why high achievers use the consilience approach. They also are seers, which means they know we are equanimous, discerning, and loving. I like to let you know God, his timber. That's in the book, The Ways to God. I'm a co-author of it. You can find out more about me and my self-agency and my story. But my point is that it's not a satisfaction about me beating any evil. The only evil scale that is out there is Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, all people who need therapy. The charming ones are actually the ones I make fun of here, which is why self-help, it does work. The gap that is out there, I did a bit of research. I get to fill it, but I know that it's only filled because of the ones who are doing that which is called their A game. The ones who don't want their A game are actually going to be doing self-help bullshit, pseudoscience crap, or cheerleaders and jocks, basically the fake popular human beings who think getting yelled at in the face makes them strong, or that fraternities and sororities are great to go to and have you be treated like shit, and basically everybody that is not yet a differentiated self is this sentence: if someone looks away, their confidence will be eroded, so they need to cheer each other on, and actually they like to do it with the ones who have the same likes. Their 14-month-old, like studies show, will want to play with a teddy bear that likes the same cereal that they like. And these are all different smart human beings who give me studies that let me tell you why I have no enemies out there, and why I'm a smart ass, and why I don't actually present any of these equations in the face of people who are weak, because as a teenager I learned what sword fighting does with the I'm going to show you what I'm made of. It felt very crappy, and I apologize to God. So my good Christian Catholic upbringing taught me what it meant to be a child of God and to not play the mean game. And then when I got to 20, I said there's no evil because cowards are not evil. And I'm confirming it with not only the forensic criminologist scale, but also all the therapists who show me what ego is. Moronic by itself. And that's because they're not bilaterally overall and everything integrated, because, the work begins from the top, bottom, up, down, all of it. So both Bezel van der Kolk and Lisa Feldman-Barrett are right. Bezel, body keeps a score. Lisa, mind keeps a count. And if you're a smart human being, you go and take care of that. So we have a body, mind connected, and here's your empowered divine feminine and your empowered divine masculine, which is why we don't get tested. Yes, actually, and we don't get protected. Yes, we don't need protection. You don't need to see me. You do not need to soothe me. You are not going to be keeping me safe, because if the roof falls over my head, that word doesn't mean anything. And no, you're not going to be making me secure, because you already chose to disregard that you didn't see me, and that means you didn't soothe me. But it's okay. I'm a securely attached, non-traumatized human being. Self-agents, this is how we work. And then we differentiate more. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, because the oversoul, the biosphere's Terriel's word, the moi, would be Dr. Daniel Siegel's. It don't pay you back when they don't like regulating in their ventral vagal state, because they don't know how to, so they don't self-regulate because they dysregulate it, because they were not set up to succeed in life as social beings. They were set up to fail miserably, and they disregard that. Their dysregulation means they're also very uncomfortable with co-regulation with human beings who are their high-achieving A-gamers, right here, and whole. Wholeness means that healthy self-worth. So you don't actually poke at people who are weak. It's not nice. And I make fun of those who are considered charming, because they're not charming. They are only wielding their mouths in the very same way. They're very, so you know how cheerleaders, jocks, and any group that, like the flat earthers, they have one leader? Yes, or two, it doesn't really matter. They all come together. You just go to YouTube, you'll spot them. So I get to spot the 3D, 4D leaders, and then I get to make fun of them without having to name them, because, again, that's actually petty. Furthermore, God likes to remind me that there's free will, and I told him already that's not devils or demons or cowards. They're just insecure people. They lack self-regulation. They lack co-regulation. The scientists are going to save them all, but it's only the brave ones who decide to go. The not brave ones decide to hang out with the people who they like to say are leaders, and that's why they're not, but they do a good job at keeping them distracted, meaning busy. So we all need to be entertained, you know what I mean, and feel that we have meaning, because in the absence of meaning, confidence is eroded. So the people who come together and they're meaningful to each other, that's exactly how a high achiever doesn't spot them because we're going to make them do the hard work. It's we spot them because they're liar, pants on fire. You're just using random words. You don't know emotional intelligence. You don't know mental intelligence. You don't know intelligence at all, because you don't know how to intelligently wield your 14-month-old, your mouth and your heart, and wow, look, you have no mind-body connection yet. But wait, why? Okay, so again, we don't talk sense to people. Bessel van der Kolk's made us very aware of that. So ignorance, it's not bliss. No, it's anything but bliss, and it's remotely, completely, utterly uninteresting to intellectually savvy brains. Because when you learn from a bunch of smart experts of all subject matters, and then you're also spiritual, so even all that, it's like, okay, it's pretty clear. Like Thomas Campbell points out, love always wins, truth is always the truth, and the ones who are buffoons who want to wield their mouths however they want, they can keep doing that. They're unimpressive to the brain, they're unimpressive to the heart, but we're not going to be making fun of them because the 3-year-old knows exactly what every 3-year-old would have wanted: a hug. The core wounds are always the same: rejection, abandonment. Basically, they were not welcomed, so they were not seen, they were not soothed, they were not taught how to feel safe inside their own body, and they don't have secure attachment. So when you meet a weak one, you don't actually throw it in their face, because that's not nice, unless you don't have self-empowered enlightening skills. But when you do, that's why it would be petty, it would be mean, and it's not nice. And I would never do that to anybody, because that's where, as a kid, I didn't get broken. And so to this day, the only one time I played with my little mouth on purpose to say, you want to, let's get it on with this. I was like, I'm so sorry, God, I mean it. And then I did it another time in my dreams. And I apologized almost immediately. And the person who I apologized to said, no, I deserve it. I said, nobody deserves anything, so stop. And also, it's not about you, it's about me. I'm selfish. I'm a high achiever. So it's actually, I don't want to be ashamed of myself. See, we all can be selfish. So how does shame work? So shame, the healthy kind, works where you don't, with good knowledge and very much awareness of yourself, want to hurt another person's feelings because you acknowledge that they exist. It's also why we don't correct people with that self-righteous energy that people could use a therapist for, and so that they could get out of the business of thinking that their charge is more important than another person's charge. And so that's why self-help does consistently support those who are emotionally resilient to continue growing more intelligent, and then to have fun being yourself the smart way: stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, to be proud of who you are. And when someone says, you like being called the goody two shoes, huh? Like I get made fun of every now and then. Well, I am a healthy perfectionist, so yeah. But here's where I like to bring science and spirituality into the mix. Okay, so with Robert Sapolsky in his book Determined, I'm going to say, I believe you still have free will. He believes you don't, or however his whole qualitative analysis. So I also have Dr. Daniel Siegel. He believes in free will, and this is one of those things. We don't do debates. The people who are empowered, we like to explore. So any topic is interesting to explore together. That's the beauty of when you have ego and self working together, because your integrated brain, the default mode network, is downregulated, and so you're a conduit, as Dr. Daniel Siegel would say, and you're flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. So the people who are high achievers will be back at IHP. People who like to do emotional resilience work the good way. I, in fact, added that to one of our first digital products that will be coming out, because Dr. Amy Pegan made me aware of bad resilience. And she's one of the many that talks about neuroception. Here's another lady that I want to present to you before moving into stories again. Irene Leon. And she's on Instagram, so you can look her up if you need the spelling. IRENELYON. So that's her handle, Instagram. I don't know if she's on YouTube. I haven't looked her up. She says, here's a fact: when under threat, we must move through different states of survival stress physiology to survive. So if you're not attachment trauma educated, I'll explain in a minute, I am. If we can't dissipate the threat via connection, that means that you have another person. That's why when Bessel van der Kolk gave me the answer to what was going on with all the 3D, 4D, those who are not expanding to Dharma but they're staying in karma, it was because I found out that they seek outside themselves for help, and they go to cheerleaders and jocks, and so basically the pretenders that I make fun of. Okay, so when you meet the charming, they're not charming. Again, I'm going to use the word of the evil scale. They're buffoons who are simply reading scripts, and then you'll notice they don't have connection, which is why they ignore Patrick Tiahan and make fun of modern day therapists and think they can dismantle them with one little finger. And so, as he points out, self-righteous, contemptuous is what they're leaving as their batons of legacy, because they are not connected. They feel good when they're putting someone in their place. I feel good when I know that I'm making an effort to be self-regulating Maria, to differentiate, like Dr. Daniel Siegel pointed out, to remember that emotionally immature people are insecure. They do not like co-regulating. They don't like mental energy, and that it's not their fault that they're unkind and dysregulating, that they got set up to fail miserably in the social engagement, and that I will not be presenting their petty behavior. It meant deserve to be saluted. He's a stranger who, the next time I saw them, as everybody who tunes in knows the stories, and this is a recent one, I looked at because that was the minimum, but I reiterated my healthy, sovereign boundaries without doing, I'm a healer, or some shit like that. I simply looked at them because that way they could, and they got off their chest, at least you looked at me. So I'm happy for them. They got off their chest, their insecurity. Hopefully they've done ruminating about it, but they still are miserable. Wife, daughter. In the meantime, they got rejected because they were trying to hit on the time on a human being who actually defended them, and actually took the side of, I give people a shot at least, and basically called everybody else of our group mean. No, we're not mean. The person lacks complete healthy boundaries, and it was very visible the evening that he decided to bust my balls because they were drunk and had been rejected. And so somebody who defends that, I don't need to get in the face. I don't need to defend it. I did what is the healthy self-worth thing. That's why self-agent isn't doing self-help, because they're going through some kind of excruciating pain. If you're going through excruciating pain, you go to therapy, you learn to self-regulate, then you learn how self-help helps. And that's why the person said it's self-help bullshit, pseudoscience crap. Yeah, sure, for the ones who don't know how to get their emotional body online because you disregard your nervous system, because you think it means nothing. I found it hard to believe the first 2 years of life. That's how people respond to when you inform them that the first 3 years of life are why you will have addictions, why you will have an inner outer critic, why you're going to have monsters in your head, why you're going to have such a hard time creating an actual community. Like my facade friend, I'm his only friend, and he doesn't even have the worst of the stories that I know of people out there who could use Dr. Daniel Fox, and who, because they're around ignorant human beings, who are spiteful like Diego's family, who are all unhealed and toxic, they actually think that they're spiritual and call someone a demon, energy vampire, that they're cursed or whatever else, and it's and you better bet that this human being can tell you all about how proud I am of being able to have stood up and stood at the side of someone who didn't need any of this crap. And by the way, no, it doesn't mean that you save anyone, because they don't acknowledge they have the need for therapy, though they don't acknowledge that they have a problem that's solvable. Doesn't matter what acts of kindness, it's not even an act of kindness, it's the right thing to do. And if you're attachment trauma educated, you're going to know that, and you're not going to be looking as a mystic or spiritual one. That's an energy vampire, that's a dark aura, that's a person who's cursed, I'm going to be away from them. That's the one thing about the mystic community, the spiritual bypassers, that I noticed as I moved from simply having faith to being a spiritual with mysticism. And it's like, wow, what are you doing now? Cut court. Excuse me, you realize they're all your brothers and sisters. Why are you talking to me about God? Don't talk to me about God. Oh, source, different frequency. So when someone's highlighting the lower frequency, quote unquote, and telling you that is the way, that they're a pseudo live person who's thriving in a very yucky gratification dopamine hit, and that's a low frequency because their self-righteous angry baton didn't get to therapists to go and get themselves healed. So this is called revenge. It's a sweet venomous tooth. Here's, you got whatever you want to put in it, but it's an unhealthy drama king, drama queen, somebody hooked on that which is called, and it's in a way of projecting it though, because their head keeps moving. Like the man who I told you about with his Russian roulette, out of his mouth came a story, and I remember as I listened to it, this is his story from his childhood and the things that went through his head. And I'm like, yeah, the vendetta that you're talking about is in your head, which is the only reason you can talk the way you are on a screen, which makes you not a badass, makes you a dumbass, which is why anybody who wants to talk to me about something called intelligence and strategy, and then I'm thinking of us as a herd, will not understand why the brainstem is the least of the interesting aspects of your brain. Lovely determined, Robert Sapolsky knows all about it. You're dumbed down. You don't know how to handle yourself. So people are manipulable by those who understand how the embodied brain works. The ones who want to create conspiracies, they don't even have a clue of how all of this works. So you can tell, because if they did, they'd know what's going on. That's going on, and I don't even know, because I don't know enough of the people in the field that I'm thinking about. If I did and had actual conversations, I'd be able to tell you, and I don't. So it's a random side note to that, which is called Not Afraid of the Future, because I actually am person who understands how it works, and from the now, not with conspiracies or big made up stories in my head. Also, God always wins. So a child of God will not be afraid of the humans out there, because they all were made by God, and God made us perfect. The only thing is, not everybody wants to become their A game. So you're going to leave alone the weak ones. You see, he keeps us away from them. It's not the other way around. He keeps people who are confident away from the ones who aren't confident. Because you stare someone down, thanks Bethany Brown Ruthlenius, with your eyes. I was unseen, like for real, at a certain point in my journey as a 45-year-old woman. You know this story. And this was there. I was like, okay, look, I had heard from 4D that 5D would not be seen by 3D, 4D, but this is not happening. And this person and I are now friends. So what happens when someone has shame and attachment wounds, they flare up when they meet people who look at them with two sides of the brain, because my right will connect with your right. But if you have not the welcoming of who you are, and you have shame flaring up, and you have fear and whatever else comes up, you're not going to be looking me in the eye. So he's not the only one who didn't look at me. Once I got attachment trauma informed, I started to learn how to look away, to make people less uncomfortable. And then I got told, why aren't you looking in my eyes? Look in my eyes, by a person who doesn't know attachment trauma. And in the meantime, they're also a person who isn't healed. So I answered them, and I told them, because I've learned that looking in the eyes is not always the best thing to do. And so, just learning how to look other places. But hey, thanks for letting me know that you believe it's only the confident ones who look straight in the eyes. I know that. I learned about it from the Western culture, but then I learned about how it works for people who are gazing away, and that's because they're uncomfortable inside. So I'm going to make someone comfortable without having to mention it. And so people who get attachment trauma educated learn how to use what they have to become a better person. The ones who don't like it are the same ones who don't know that they're not their best version yet. Nobody's going to go telling them, because again, the dysregulated ones actually act like they're badass and like they know shit, and you're not going to put them into their place, because that's the thing about shame. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to waste my breath on it. I'm not going to. You just unsee me, you unsuit. You basically are just talking over me, like my facade friend does. Teenagers like to talk over each other when they're insecure. Teenagers who are not insecure aren't talking over each other. It's trying to have a dialogue. So you can't shut me down in a way of me not wanting to continue sharing something that's mine, and I won't shut you down, because that's what a rude person would do. But I will. So the connection doesn't actually fail when you're connected within yourself. Those who don't have it, this is a whole different story, and that's why they will not be coming back to HP if they don't know how to self-regulate and be emotionally intelligent, or want it for real, or mental intelligence, but they just like to use blah 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 words, which is very unimpressive. Ignorance, not bliss. Ignorance is the most annoying of anything that a person who does know what knowledge is will be able to see. Small-minded adults have irritated me since I was a teenager, which is why I don't waste time with them. And that's not because they don't have anything valuable to say. They have everything. They don't want to hear a conversation. They just want to hear themselves tell you what their proof is. And so tell me, get it out of your chest. It's not trauma dumping. You gave me your concept. I got a 3-year-old who's happy, and there you go. I can go on my merry way to learn from those who like to share knowledge, and those who like to expand knowledge, and those who like to expand into the future, and those who are not playing some pity party game of needing approval from each other, like the jocks and the cheerleaders and any kind of insecure grown human being at this point. I mean, as a teenager, I knew it was normal, but now I'm like, wow. So whenever I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking of all the grown human beings who I still know who fit the bill, and people like to think movies aren't real. No, they are. And I'm wondering, no, I'm not wondering. I have answers. They like to follow around morons who tell them how they know how to dismantle with one little finger modern day therapists. The cowards don't want to do the hard work. Patrick Tian says it best. They don't want hard work. The emotionally immature ones, they just want love. And like lovely therapy nutshell lady, she gives us a model with some other psychology lady who says, yes, please understand their brain is not working in the way that it could work because it's underdeveloped. Those who say it sounds tiresome are people who also need therapy. I don't find it tiresome. I don't need the model. I just know, okay, try to remember that people are insecure, just want to be reassured. Okay, yes, that sounds like babying, and that is what it is, though. And that's why it's not an evil monster, it's not tiresome, it's a human being who wants to be welcomed as they are, don't you? Yes, we all do. So it's one thing if you're a stranger, I never became your friend, I don't need to do anything with you, and I don't need to feel guilty about it. It's another thing if we're a herd and we are loved ones and you are taking offense. Doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. I'll acknowledge your feelings because that's the right thing to do. I'll acknowledge your thoughts, and then I will know that we can be different and we will never agree. And there you go. And we make up and we have that, which is called I'm sorry, apologies. And someone's like, well, why would you apologize if you weren't wrong? Because I care that the other person knows that they're loved, and I really don't care about proving myself right. Because that's a petty game for people who have something that they need to prove. I don't need to prove myself in my field as a professional. In this case, it was all about marketing. I know who I am and I know what I do. I don't need approval. And some people know society needs to approve of me. No, society of the entirety, no. I'll know when I meet the society that I'm looking at, and that is where I'm going to know. They're going to know who I am because they know authenticity like I do. So they're going to spot the same charming ones I spot, and they're not going to think of them as amazing. They're going to think, well, they give people who want their B game a place to call home. That's great. Hey, flat earthers, you having a good time? I mean, I guess I should be a little bit more humbled. Hey, Neil deGrasse, come on. Maybe one day they'll prove that the earth is flat. You know, you proved it was round again, but hey, we don't know. And that's the part of where if I ever met a flat earther, I will respectfully ask them, I'm very intrigued by what you have to say. And people think that that's me making fun of them. I'm not. Because I'm not dumb enough to think that I know everything. And that little bit of 0.0001 is what people say. That's because of you that we have flat earthers. No, I'm just saying the experimental approach. Scientists discover things, and we're finding that scientists continue to discover more things, disprove these things and that thing. So I'm not the one who's deluded by how it works. Sometimes things will be proven in one moment of time, then they find out something different. That doesn't cancel out everything that was proven yesterday. It actually helps people who are on the intelligence side know how it works. We don't know everything in any moment, shape, or form in time. We don't deny knowledge because some of what was said is, so that's the competition. The left brain doesn't like to have all of it in there, and that gets upset as it wants a little perfect box. It wants a little one size fits all. That's why they follow cheerleaders and jocks, as they get to all be the same, which is why it makes me laugh, because in high school I'm like, we all said we were different. I don't see anybody being different. When I saw all the little groups get together, we had a group full of mutts. That's what we were all. Bicultural, like all of it. And that's what it is today. 5D Collective is okay with the melting pot in and of itself. And that's because we actually do know everyone wants to be seen, soothed, safe, and secure. We're not going to yell about it because it's not one team is weak and the other is weak. They're all weak, and we're weak too. Difference is some of us didn't stay weak. We got to get strong and courageous and curious, and really crying doesn't force strength or courage to those of us who are like, yeah, okay. I don't understand why some people don't know how to feel all their feelings. I do understand. Let me explain. So as I was reading to you, lovely Irene, because this is very important, because otherwise you're not doing self-help, you're not a self-agent, you're not ready for spiritual or personal growth because you don't know how to self-regulate. Without self-regulation, you won't be comfortable co-regulating. You won't be comfortable with a self-empowered, enlightened person. You will not be comfortable in that which is called your own ventral energy. You will not be comfortable with expanding your window tolerance to window welcome. You will be comfortable with unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, inner critic, outer critic, little dopamine hits of gratification. You don't care about relational joy, let alone do you care to actually notice how you are de-stressing with unhealthy habits, binge eating, binge drinking, binge drugging, binge fucking, binge whatever, procrastination, We all will have modes that we will use, not cope. I was thinking of that word. So I still have, like anybody else will, even once you're whole, you still have your personality patterns, your temperament, and that means you still have all the child parts. So there's still things that hit you like a whammy, which is why you deal with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds, and unwanteds with the Inner Growth Mindset program that I have shared, the free main modules, from within while going with the flow. So you're not upset at being upset. It's not as uncomfortable as someone who's drawing on a board and thinks the wellness industry is bullshit. We're not bullshit. Ones who find it hard to feel, they're bullshit because they're not noticing it's hard to feel because your emotional body ain't fucking online because you don't know how to self-regulate. And that's how I would bluntly state no. I'm bluntly stating it here because here I'm creating a platform that has a community of people who inspire human potential, not by pretending. High achievers don't pretend. I don't sell shit. When I see someone selling shit, it reminds me of lawyers I met. They did cocaine. I'm like, wow, you break the law. How are you lawyers? And the people laughed at me. And I thought, sure, I'm not going to take that lawyer. They're cocaine addicts, so that means their brain doesn't even work right. They don't know what the law is. They have no principles. They have no integrity. They describe to me what they're wearing maybe. Yeah, they're lawyers. You made your mommy and daddy proud. Great job. You're not a professional I want to work with. You don't care about your job. Care about the money. You care about everything but the job, and you definitely don't represent the law, and that's really unfortunate. So you know when it's a professional cares because they'll care about what they're doing and they won't sell you shit. You'll know who's trending, and that's why cheerleaders, jocks, again, I don't want to make fun of them, but every adult when I was in high school said, so here's a deal. Here's what happens to the popular ones. And I was like, I'm not going to make it into like a truth. Then I grew up. Well, I don't want to say they told us so because I don't like to do it that way. I'm just going to say thank goodness we have therapists out there now, and the ones who will be smart won't get to college and let fraternity sororities lock them into places, have people yell at them. They're going to go to therapy and get their A game on. That's how it's going to work for the smart ones, because I was already smart to know enough about what it looked like when somebody doesn't love you. We're not going to be a couple with those shoes, Maria. This guy I was flirting with, I had a big crush on him. And as soon as I walked in with my lovely shoes and I was all excited, these are the words that came out of his mouth. And my download was, this is not love, but I'm having fun. And he's not my boyfriend anyways. We're just flirting. And I continued to flirt, but I knew that that wasn't going to be that who would be with me, because that's not nice. And he was shallow, and he still is shallow, I'm sure. I shouldn't say that, but I bet you he is. There's a bunch of shallow people. So do I care about aesthetics? We all do. And that's why when someone, like a man who has a psychology degree, who does a lot of videos on how insecure he is, let me share with you what is hilarious. I thought this was a joke. I mean, I'm serious. This was hilarious and a joke. No, I was like, this must be a joke. It has to be, because this is no way to talk to women or to talk about this shit. So he's talking about how if his girlfriend, he even uses the little kids word, because see, I don't use girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, partners, partners in life, partners for like the academics. I've realized that we have a bunch of people who don't know how to use partners in a bigger way, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the girlfriend thing, I'm 45, it sounds ridiculous. Boyfriend also, this is not, I remember when I met people who are my age who use those words, and I'm like, yes, Cinderella, Snow White, no, that's how it feels to see that word, the ring of it. It's just like, but I digress. And also, P.S. surround yourself with smart academics. This is what I would have wanted more of. When I was asked, what would you have liked as you were growing up? More smart kids like me. The academics that I know now that are smart and that I get to connect to with all my courses and all YouTube and all the authentic grown-ass human beings who notice what a bullshitter is versus a real shitter, okay? So, like, that's all. I would like more intelligence. And you have to have an open heart to be intelligent, because otherwise it doesn't work. You have to be connected, the ventral vagal state, because the distortion comes from the ego. So when you meet the ones who are still distorting because they're like, I proved it. Yeah, sure you did. You proved it. The model works great for some people, not all people. But okay, yeah, you keep talking. Yeah, there's no one size fits all. Remember, they all have a different story. Every single one of God's children, 8 billion and growing, they have a different story, because you know what? No one can define you. Guess whose body it is. And therefore, guess whose 0-1-year-old it is. Which is why I know what it means to be rejected. And I don't need protection. You don't need to see me soothe me. I soothe myself. I see myself. I save myself. I secure myself. And that's how it works. I'm non-traumatized. I'm an emotionally intelligent woman. And there's plenty of men, women, and theys out there. I don't bullshit people, so I don't sell crap. And this is the part of when I see the ones who are pretending, it does pissed me off. Yes, Buddha makes fun of me for it. I make fun of him for sitting on a tree. And yesterday we had a nice conversation where I'm like, aha, that's because I had an aha moment. So I'm talking to him now. I'm like, okay, so let's sit together under the tree. Come on over, Jesus. Come on over. All the ascended masters, they're all sitting. Okay, God, can you oversee this conversation? It's going to get nice. They're all sitting down right now. I'll save it for our next episode, by the way, because we're going to have a late HP show or a daytime HP show. And it's for our full moon, which was last night. It was amazing. It was the last one of the year. Big one. Okay, so which story was I going to tell you? I got lost. Sidetrack. Okay, so anyways, the connection part is important. I'm sure you understood that. And when you meet the ones who don't know, the psychologist, I got it back. He actually goes on to tell us how, so women, let me ask you, if you bought a dress and you understood it was already used and you paid all that money for it, and then he goes on to let us know that if the woman he's a boyfriend and girlfriend, so a child, basically, I'm just going to let you know that's how it feels when I'm hearing him speak. Besides the fact that I'm thinking he must be a joke. This can't be real. He has a psychology degree. Who gave it to him? And then I remember my college years and people fucking and miserable in fraternity and sorority and all that other bullshit. And I didn't realize that they were still adolescents. Now I do know their adolescent brain definitely continue to be so great that we have modern day therapists to help anybody to get their emotional body basically strong and to work through any insecurity and unfinished business. Terry Real makes functional adults. Patrick Tiahan makes people who are reparented, and so they're going to be their actual grown version who hold their child by the hand. Bezel van der Kolk helps people. Dr. Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Fox. Okay, so all the badass people are going to go to therapy. All the other ones who don't like it, they're going to call us a bunch of names, which they still do. And yes, as someone told me, God doesn't need signs. Sorry, Maria, you're going to be judged. And I didn't think anything of that. No, he said rejected. I'm going to be rejected, labeled as a person who's an Akashic record reader, Reiki master, tarot reader. And I thought nothing of it because I don't enjoy being around ignorant, mediocre people who actually use God's name, forget his perfection, which are his children, use stories, continue to lie, and continue to actually act like they're telling us something that is beneficial for that which they like to call morality, integrity, and a lot more. You have no integrity or morality if you don't know how to wield your own embodied brain for a person as myself, because you ignored every single bit of your inner critic, outer critic, and suffering. And then you went ahead to project it on every single bit of a movie and anything else that I get to watch, as they want to destroy the human species. Dumb us down is what they think we are. And then they think that the only way we'll ever come together is if an external species invades us, which, you know what, at the end of the day, maybe that is true, but at the end of the day, you know what I know? I know that it's all bullshit, because people who don't know how to notice that their faith in humanity was broken are the same ones who are not high achievers, let alone are they inspiring human potential, because they got crap to say every time humans do anything. And they didn't notice that that's called you're irritated by people who obviously aren't meeting your expectations. I know all about it, but I mean, come on, stop acting like we're shit, because we're not. We're just flawed and imperfect. Aren't you? No? Yeah? Here's a healthy perfectionist, which is why it'll always tick someone off, because I'm not dumb to not notice what you're trying to do. I ain't you, you ain't me, and I am a healthy seer, so I'm not in the right to tell you what to do with your life, because otherwise I'd be a hypocrite. Like those kids who said, you don't do what we tell you to do, why do you tell us what to do? You saved me from hypocrisy, thank you so much. And then it's also not actually following any of those who are the society. So when people like society knows, no, leaders, the true kind, know, and they're knowledgeable. The society likes to follow the masses, and together they sing in choir, pat each other in the back, and I stay far away. Or if I'm near them, I don't say anything, so that I can avoid wasting my time, or I say very little, because that way I can avoid wasting their time, my time, and that's why I have a person who's afraid of me, and that's because they said, well, I guess we just wasted our time, and that's when I understood what was going on. And so it's like, no, we didn't, because I got to know everything about you and, your opinion. So obviously the time was used well, because God reminds me to cherish my brothers and sisters. And I know that different isn't better or worse, because my mother taught me that. And I also do cherish differences, because I'm not a small 3-year-old who's going to be capricious about me having a different opinion than you. My 14-month-old knows what yogurt I like and cereal, and that's why it's okay when I meet the ones who are liking different cereal, different yogurt. I'll know that I'm a little bothered because I wouldn't play with them because, we have different interests, so it won't work out for the long run. It's nice to hang out with the ones who you can expand with versus the ones who are small-minded and then get boring as they get older. They don't get smarter, they get not. And so, yeah, anyways, so we don't treat them with hostility, unless we never became friends with them in the first place. We treat them with love. And then we know that with their 5 hands, we'll be able to have a good time and you build a secure connection. And people say that's pretending. No, it's called emotionally immature on the low emotional intelligence scale will not ever grow up unless they choose to become high performers and A gamers. So it's one way you use neuroplasticity or the other. The bright, you get flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. The dark, you get rigid and definitely become shame, blame, fault, revenge on wheelhouse, and I've seen it. There are shamans for the unseen, the unsoothed, and the unsafe, and the unsecure. And when you see people flocking to the cauldron of them, it's amazing. You stand like this and think, wow, oh my God, it's an actual shaman for the unseen. Look at how excited they are to say every single bit of the bullshit that they've done. Look at how they're laughing. Oh my gosh, they're actually enjoying the very bullshit conversations. Oh wow, yeah, no, I'm not in that. Nope, but I'm watching. And so that's what happens when you find out that it's true. It's not monsters though. They're just a bunch of teenage versions of themselves. It doesn't look hot. Men, women days, back to the psychology. So this guy, I think he's a joke. I'm like, he must be joking. He's playing to crowd. I bet you he's playing a crowd. This is what I was telling myself as I'm watching this video, because at this point I'm just laughing at immature men, immature women, all of them. This why wedding bell. Nope, you're trash. No wedding bells for people that are into what you do. It's, in fact, we don't get text back because disgust and contempt is what is felt. Shame, we don't know where that goes. None of these people talk about therapy because they're apparently better than the modern day therapist. You see what I'm saying? Better. Like, I'll give you the one size fits all. It's no, you're going to give me the narrative I want to hear. Then I'm going to pretend that I'm doing great. And as they pretend to be great, they allow each other, like fraternity sororities. And all those people say, yes, yell in my face, make me into a real person. They like to do the thing where Pinocchio, remember, on the island? That's why they're all on the island. And they actually think the fox and the other are doing them a favor, as is the guy who's providing them the booze and the smoking, all of it. It's really coming to life. Wow, this is amazing. So yes, when you meet Pinocchio's island, it's not scary. When you meet Peter Pan's island, not scary. And high performers will not be presenting these stories to these people in their faces like this. Because they're humans who have a right to choose what they want to do with their life. Don't you know that? Come on. I'm so boring. Yeah, that's the part. I am boring. No, I'm not. But that's how teenagers felt. I got to my 20s and I started to go out because I had a little bit of money. And my friend was like, wow, you're fun, Maria. I was like, I have less schoolwork to do. I have money now and I'm getting ready to go to college and I'm older, so I'm not more fun. I just learned how to go. Come on, Maria, smoke. I don't want to do drugs. I even went to Amsterdam. I rolled for people. I don't want to smoke. Yeah. You can make fun of me all you want. And now that I'm a mystic, it will connect you more. I'm connected. I'm very connected. Thank you. I have downloads all the time. They're always here with me. If I want, I turn it on. I turn it off. Like, I don't need more. I don't want more. I have 2 Kundalini awakenings, 3 twin flames. My oversoul is bountiful. I have galactic beings coming to me all the time. I really don't need more of it. And people who think I'm a whack job, yes, I asked one of them. They're like, well, you believe what you're experiencing, so we respect that. I love how my friend was he was very honest about it, but he was very nice about it. It's one of the many, but he is one of the ones who has the most amazing of jokes come out of his mouth in Italian. And he's always with a crowd of people that do specific things. But long story short, what I'm trying to get to is I know he was being honest. So he was telling me, yes, Maria, I think you're a whack job, but we love you for who you are. And that's what I love about honest people, is that they love each other for who they are. So it's Sid, Manny, Diego, okay? And Ice Age, if you haven't watched it. But first, before I forget and before we run out of time, if we can't dissipate the threat via connection, so if you can't learn to be in your ventral vagal state, we go into these automatic nervous system survival states. And so Irene Leon, she's talking about when you come out of the shutdown, then you have to reverse through the fight, flight, freeze, flop, drop, or the other basically defense mechanism survival modes to get the full capacity and regulation. And so it's not simple work. And that's the part of why, as she points out, you learn not only to get out of your nervous system, I know the latter, but the real deal is going to therapy, because the first 3 years of life are implicit memory. And if there's memory barriers, so when you have people who have DID and disorganized attachment, okay, so someone who wants to tell me that they care about themselves, life, they're badass, whatever it is, self-help, any of it, they're gonna have taken care of this first, otherwise it's bullshit. And that's exactly why it's irritating to see human beings who are mediocre talk about shit just because it's trending. They're not, and then when you see unhealed therapists, coaches, all of them, I have people telling me, oh, I like that you do personal growth, spiritual growth, I want you, I don't want the therapist. And I'm like, no, therapist is what you would want, a good one, but you want that first, because again, those first years of life, and in fact, as Irene says, it can take a decade for some people to actually be able to get through all of it. What's even scarier is the fact that, again, when someone ignores it, not only are you gonna not do the healing, you're not gonna get to know yourself. And so what's great to see, I saw a DID lady who's healing. I have a course too where she's already healed another one, but this one, she's like, they told me it would take maybe 10 to 12 years, or I think she said 7 to 10. I'm at 7 years, and she's all excited about this. That's who I honor. Like, I honor Kylie, a narcissist who's healing. I don't honor a person who takes a study, tells you with distortion, look, I'm right, the narcissists don't heal, my colleagues are all against me. Wow, you are upset at narcissists still. You have a bad group and a good group, and you just wielded your mouth and you wielded data to your volition. You are not charming. You are not powerful. You're a human being who's using a platform, and the ones who fall for it are the same ones who go to Kylie's page, and her sociopath boyfriend have to get told that they should die, death threats, such as why lack of imagination for evil. That's not powerful. That's a wielding of mouth, again, that has no purpose except for divining people with an ancient word that you're disregarding. There's education for it, and there's a criminologist scale. So you lack complete interest in academia knowledge, which makes you lack of interesting mind to a person who knows what knowledge is. So mouth, I can move my mouth all I want. Words, they're not anything except for how am I going to convey something. And when you're conveying it to share with people how to do something, if you care, you're going to do it right. If you don't give a shit and you're just trying to prove yourself, that's how you're going to wield your mouth, which is why it's not going to be charming. It's just going to be let the 3-year-old talk, as they got shamed when they were a kid or some shit went down, that they're never going to take it and let it happen. They were modeled, contempt, self-righteous. They even come out with their stories. It's not hilarious, excuse me. Whenever I hear the man, the woman, another woman, they spoke all of their childhood on screen. Every single bit of it. You won't go doing anything about that. That would be a very, very bad taste. So that's where I know what integrity is, because I got taught it, and I'm a child who's a grown-up. And taking somebody's entire history and presenting it, not only one, you don't prove anything, because you're not going to talk sense to somebody who's living out the shame of the rest of their life. It's actively, it isn't, you don't correct. It doesn't make me angry. It makes me disgusted that I see human beings who think they're doing some service when they're not. They're liars. But then I remember, because God teaches me and reminds me about weak ones, because I know they're not monsters. They're human beings who have shame leading them, and it would be mean of me to poke, because they're already suffering, and I would feel ashamed of me, because that would be a low blow, meaning a low ass shitty game, which I would be ashamed of as a grown human being with all the knowledge. So being mean is not something you want to be, if you know what it means to be nice, and then if you know what it means for why the people who are mean, which means they don't know co-regulation or self-regulation, they're insecure. And while Stephen Porges changed the word because he's doing research and therapists work with them, I'm not working with them. I'm seeing the ones who actually keep them stalled. And then I get to hear self-help bullshit, pseudoscience crap. Yes, definitely. It's fine with me, because I'm not going to be helping you out because you obviously disregarded that you were reactive, the naysayer. He had great constructive criticism. He was reactive. And either it was some shit went down in his life where he spent money and didn't get help, or someone he loved, or some shit went down where self-help and pseudoscience didn't help. But the reactivity, unless it was a bot, which, I mean, the bot doesn't even make me think anything except for people wasting their time on uninteresting because they think they might poke something. And even that's petty too. People who actually think that they're going to poke. They don't think, excuse me. It's a child who's being like Dennis the Menace, but it's a child that doesn't need to be given a label. They're people who need therapy so they can get to their A game. They don't want it. They don't have to get it. Their pettiness is not a monster. Their pettiness is their insecurity, which is why you're not going to point it out to them. Teenage boyfriend. We're arguing. The only argument I ever had in my life, because that's where an empowered feminine, which means that you own the sense of self. Maria is translating it to you. Empowered masculine, divine. I don't get tested by no one because my brain works well, because it's integrated, and I have healthy self-worth, and I'm a self-agent who doesn't need you to see me, soothe me, or do anything with me. In fact, I'm not asking to be approved of. I'm telling you who I am, and then if you don't welcome it, I'll know how to put to the side the stuff that you want to basically taint with whatever words you're already tainting it with anyways, and it's very irritating and boring. But you get used to it, which is why it's not something that you think, I'm grieving being unseen. No, I'm not grieving it. I can't wait to get out. Now I know what you dressed me up as. There you go. And that's where people, oh, you stubborn? Yeah. You don't dress me up and tell me who I am. I tell you who I am, and then you can hang around or not. And that's how it works. That's self-agency. It's not, I'm going to throw it in your face. That's why we are not looking for the justice that people will be wanting. Because I see, I soothe, I safe, I secure. I don't need you to approve. I'm not looking for that. That's a self-agent sovereignty with emotional, mental, all of it, all your child parts. So it's not where you don't get sad if you're not seen, but you don't grieve it. You understand it. The knowledge empowers you. So you don't play the petty game of the ones who are weak. Cowards, like anybody who I have met that continues to play the cowards game. And so, teenage boyfriend he's telling me that the only reason I believe in God is because I'm afraid of death, and I'm like just fresh out of my catechism. I have had the honor to get the confirmation, Holy Spirit, and I'm full blown in my relationship with God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit, and so he's a liar. This is not, and he's in his effective realism, where his feelings make his words to him be a fact. And I could tell that because I'm arguing with him very much like, no, and this is the guy I'm going to marry. So it's like, okay, no, that's not. And the thing is, I know why he's arguing with me like this, by the way. So bringing in, if I wanted to be a petty bitch, an actual petty bitch, I'll be a bitch, but not a petty bitch. I'll be a bitch that someone will think I'm a bitch because I'm going to be a cold ass fucking bitch. That's the difference between an authentic person is I'm not going to bow down in shame. I'm not going to look up. I'm going to look straight at you and say, you know what? Tomato. Good. Thank you. So great. And this is where it's not a shutdown. It's I can agree to disagree in the absence of canceling out Maria and canceling out you. So a person who's a self-agent themselves will be able to understand that, which is why you get to be hanging out with badass people versus insecure ones. Insecure ones, you don't baby them. You just know who they are. Like my facade friend, you learn. I'm shaking my head because it is boring to have them, because babying energy is basically okay. But once you settle into, like I keep saying, those 5 hands, now you know what you're dealing with. They remain a small energy. They remain a small-minded human being. And now everybody's happy because they're reassured that they're not going to get rejected. You're fine because you took what they said as truth. And now that they feel... It makes me think of Penny and as she's using the baby book with Sheldon and Leonard, but that's actively how emotionally immature people will be handled, which is why I still wouldn't use a model to handle them, because that would be me labeling people, which I don't do. I'll explain it, but I'm not meeting you and labeling you. It'll be where I'm going to automatically interact by seeing and understanding that if we're different, I don't want to soothe you and make it seem like I'm going to baby you. I'll just be like, look, differences, that's great and dandy. I'm happy to have differences because, really, what are we, copycats of each other? So it's nice to have different people in front of you when you're a person who enjoys intellect, and that's because you don't take anything to heart and make it, oh my God, and you don't begin using all these labels to say, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way, this is appropriation, that's appropriation. Once a lady's like, you asked about my heritage, that's rude. I was in college, I was making friends. I'm like, I'm an American Italian. I didn't realize you'd be offended about heritage. You're Italian like me, partly, and wow. And we're in a sociology class, and what the heck? Okay, I won't probably become friends with you because you think I'm rude for asking about getting to know you. Like, someone was weirded out by me asking for going to lunch together, and I'm like, I thought we made friends. Someone said to me when it comes to dating, because I was like, yeah, I've done only 2 blind dates, but I don't like them because, yeah, what if it's a mass murder? And they're like, but that's how you get to know people. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that, especially after all the attachment trauma education. I'm happy that my life went the way it did because, yeah, seriously, blind dates, no way, Jose. Because, and all the people who ignore the DID symptoms, the red flags, I got people who I know they have DID, and like the therapist said, they won't come to us. And like the people, yeah, no, I'm good, I manage. I went to therapy for a little bit, but now I'm good. And it's like, okay, well, you say you can manage. I'm sure you found your sweet spot, but that's not the health of them. But that's how it works. They're so scared to meet themselves. This is why you can't. It's sad. That's it. You don't ever want to get to know yourself. Wow, that's shitty to me. But that's a subjective opinion of a person who knows herself. All the child parts who didn't have any kind of dysregulation. Okay, so that's why I can't speak for those who don't have self-regulation. I can only speak for those of us who have self-regulation. High achievers, they will do the hard work, be around, or they won't. High achievers who didn't need to do the hard work, we're annoying to the people who don't like us, and that's why healthy perfectionist here. I have both the thoroughness, but I also have the acceptance that it won't be perfect. I fuck it up. I'm not trying to be perfect. And this is where if people want to learn about attachment trauma, go to school. But first, if you're learning it to heal yourself, that's they're not going to do it. You're going to become like all of those half-ass coaches and not healthy therapists that have me having people say, I want you, not a therapist, and me saying, look, there's good ones. Please don't. Out of just 10 of them that you got wrong, there's good ones. I learned from them, okay? I learned from every single one of them, and I'm telling you, not because I don't want to offer I'll offer it, but your nervous system and your memory barriers and all of it is very important if you're serious about personal and spiritual growth. I'm not selling to you shit, and I'm not going to sell to you a little dangly trending topic. Wellness lifestyle, it's not a scribbly board. The ones who do that, they don't handle their emotional depth because they don't want to go and work with their child parts. Do you know that there's people who go to therapy and they don't want to be vulnerable with the couples that they go to therapy with? When I heard that, I was like, what? Why are they in therapy? Oh my God, what the heck? They said they loved each other. Why wouldn't they do that? That's going to make their bond so much stronger. Why would you not want to become vulnerable together? And that's the part, again, of, for me, it's safe to be Maria and to have fights and to have laughs and to Manny Diego sit. So when you're a self-agent, it's easy for you to be able to handle differences, not think that you're going to be, you know, who it's not easy for, which is why I thank God every day, now that I'm settled in with all this information, for having kept me far, far, far away in very specific moments, because I would totally today, I can tell you with a hand on fire, I would be a person who would be so sad and so ashamed and regretful and a lot more, but it wouldn't have been my fault. It would have been the lack of the knowledge that I didn't have because I wasn't attachment trauma educated. And thankfully now that I am, it makes me a better person and a better human and a better everything, because while I will, again, make fun of all of the facade people out there, it's not because I don't like them in a way of, oh my God, you're horrible human. No. It's because they're irritating, and that's because I'm irritating to them, and that's because we're on opposite ends. And the 3D, 4D have committed to that, because you only get so many choice points before the dark sides of neuroplasticity. It doesn't eat you up, but you become a rigid, very annoying Gargamel. How's it going? You having fun with the Smurfs? Great, good, yeah, keep foreseeing everything. That's how it works. And when you see, again, the shaman for the unseen, unsoothed, unsafe in action, I'm not even kidding to you. It's not even an Ursula cauldron. This is like an active... It's more like the crab from Moana, but he's all shining glittery, and there's all these other crabs around him who are shining glittery, okay? So it's all of those people, which is why they're buffoons, but you think, oh, they'll manifest with trauma, don't worry, but they're going to be looking like buffoons to those of us over here, because when you are dead, all those riches don't come with you, and you didn't actually live the fulfilling life you could have because you were basically seaweed from Ursula Cauldron, the Little Mermaid, which basically means a self-loathing, gut-wrenched, torn apart here that died like a Dorian Gray and never got to know anything about what the beauty of bliss is. But that's how scary it is for a grandiose or narcissist to go back. I have a couple of people I think about, and it's sad because, you love them just the way they are, but in the meantime, they are growing weaker and weaker and weaker. Dr. Amy Pigan explains how with neuroception, how it works, and how the body even rejects healing, which is why. But as they reject it, they don't actually undo, which is why I read to the Irene stuff, that which their nervous system is doing. So by not releasing and then learning how to navigate your nervous system, you're going to be using the dark sides of neuroplasticity, and you may look good on the outside. You can do all the health you want, physical activity, eating, all that. You're not healing anything. Your trauma charges are still all shit in here. It's sad. It's not something that makes you mad. It makes you sad when your whole 3-year-old are, because as I told God, all the brothers and sisters, they're all saved. The scientists can save them. The modern day therapist, when I say scientists, I'm talking as a person who does spiritual personal growth. So it's people who can help people to transform once they've changed, because they will have changed, because they will finally have taken off the mask. As lovely Patrick Tan points out, they will be their self. They will have recuperated their kind innocence, and they will know that they had been set up for failure. They will still struggle with projection, and they will continue to work with this beautiful man. And if they are ever ready, they can forgive that which happened to them. I don't know anything about it because, again, I wasn't broken. So with my perfect, healthy environment, I got to continue to chit-chat and have fun. And when I said I'm going to help people when I grow up, it's this: to be yourself. That's the best gift you give us and you give yourself. The smart way: stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. And as I see emotional intelligence becoming a trending word, I know there's a bunch who are not. They're also not mentally intelligent. And when I think of self-help and self-agency, I think, a bunch of people won't be doing any of it. Self-help crap, not crap. Pseudoscience bullshit, not bullshit. But anybody who doesn't know themselves will find themselves frustrated and irritated and thinking it's all a bunch of bullshit. And I will allow myself to let you know that there are people who ask for shortcuts for integration. And when they're told there's none and they keep asking for it, I know what they're trying to do. They're going to go sell a product because I'm an online marketer and entrepreneur. And guess who's going to buy that product? The same ones who are using fancy words, who think that they can do it all by themselves, and who come to me and say, I want you, I don't want the therapist, they're bad. No, they're good. There's good ones. And I'm good too, but I'm not good in the sense of what they can bring to you. You want them, then you can come to me. No, and they don't let themselves ever be seen again, and that's okay. I was not going to give a psychotic breakdown human being only me. It is not only me, because if you ever get a knife and you're threatening me, guess what I already knew, which is that the psychotic break was to be taken seriously. So the part about what you do know when you get attachment trauma educated is the brain. It heals itself, and that which is hidden in the brain is hidden because it's still stored, but it will come up. Sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings. And so when someone's a spiritual bypasser and wants to talk about monsters and good sides and bad sides, energy vampires, dark auras, because they have astral travel dreams, or they have near-death experiences, I know all about it, or they see past lives, future lives right here, deluded by your imagination. It's not because I'm denying the realm. It's because when you are casting a stone upon another human being and you're cutting cords, you just fell for the time your own likes and dislikes and stories from books of yesterday versus being a clear vessel who with a prefrontal cortex can actually be able to observe what's happening, contain it in the body, not have a window of tolerance go like that, and you're also not making up stories about people that you know just because you had a dream or two, or astral travel, or past lives, or future, or twin flames, soulmates, all that. So you don't dress people up with words, and you don't change your mind on your twin flame and flames and soulmates and oversoul because it didn't go the way you wanted it to. When they started to call twin flame, fake twin flame, then the real twin flame, then you're not going to be with your twin flame, I just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, wow, okay, you'll be my person forever. Where? That doesn't work. That's not how a person is. A person's not an object. Are you done objectifying people? So the shame continuum, when people are objectifying each other, it's because they dehumanize. They use words that label. Use the human's name. Don't dehumanize them. Don't dress them up. Teenage boyfriend. I know exactly why he was arguing with me. His friend killed himself, and he was still upset at God because of it. And it was because he said, if God existed, my friend wouldn't have killed himself. If God existed, all the evil in the world wouldn't have blah, 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 blah. My Christian and Catholic upbringing told me all about the people who turned their back on God, and he fit the bill like a T, and me presenting any of this would not have done anything except for continue the argument in a way that was unnecessary and would have made me a petty fool. No, a petty bitch. I wasn't going to put a finger in a wound. You're only arguing with me because your friend killed himself and you're still angry about it. That's being mean. You're only arguing with me because you see evil in the world and you turned your back on God because you don't even get raised with God. That would have been mean. Let me come judge you for not being raised with God. That would have been mean. That's not something smart. That's not something that is a conversation, and you don't convince people to have faith. And that's why anytime I'm thinking of spiritual bypassers and any of the ones who think we are going to impose faith or improve spirituality, I think you don't really know what faith or spirituality is. Or, the whole thing, I'm spiritual but not religious. You have a beef with religions. They existed in a time where they were needed. Now, if they were really smart, they'd have picked up the Dalai Lama's call. They would have all come together. But that's why ego ain't smart. Ego is not smart. The left brain doesn't like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so it stays in its own little safe, closed off, all little environment. You know what that is? Ignorance. It's not bliss. Rage, not bliss. Unhealed anger, not bliss. All these people who are in there, basically I'm going to take back that which wasn't given to me, but it's not in a way of clarity, it's distortion. In fact, it's decentralizing in the self, gone bad sometimes. It's also using yesterday's book. So why would they spread a rumor about yoga bringing demons out of you? Why would they say Reiki is bad energy? Because that's exactly how the ego, left brain works. It's my team is a good team, your team is a bad team, and so these words don't mean good, evil to me, don't mean anything to the point of where I'm going to label people. It shows me, if I got a bunch of human beings just using it, what they are. When I'm with academics, that's different. They have philosophical debates. They have actual academic debates. They all enter into what their field is so that they can expand the knowledge that our species has, which is why I'll take their debates seriously, because they'll be having an argumentation, which is with an entire syllable or whatever it's called. I'm out of the field on purpose, but that's my point. Whenever I'm seeing all of what we do here, even what I do, it's called subjective opinions. Every one of us has one, and we get to share it. And the people who resonate, they will be around. The ones who resonate, it's not because they agree, it's because they resonate with that which is called a conversation, open-ended, never-ending. The one thing that people who want to prove and stay within a little box, small-minded adults, are very boring to those of us who are not small-minded, because our brain can't fall out of our assholes, and it's because we don't care about who has what opinion. You have yours and I have mine, and that's it. So if it's in academia, they have a purpose. They're working for real on something, and that's appreciated. Thanks to their research, I get to be here talking to you. They're the leaders of our species evolving. As for God, he already knows his kids are perfect. And yes, we also have Mother Earth and all the energy, but the perfection is in your A game. If you don't want it, though, you're going to have a place called home, because it would be kind of mean to have people die all alone. After all, we're all human. No human wants to ever die alone, which is why they will seek to have a group that they can call home, where they got seen, they got soothed, they got safe and secured, even if it's Diego's family. As Patrick Tian points out, those who decide not to heal, they stay within low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive-aggressive, and those dynamics don't ever finish because they're saving each other from their families. But what they're also doing is playing the adaptive child part, so that adaptive child part protects the core wounds, so they're just going to be hanging out with that which is called their unfinished business, and they're going to obviously take the team that shares the same pain points, has the same story. And so you see Peter Pan with Wendy, there you go, following the leader and the Lost Boys. So they all will be over here, and there's your cheerleaders and jocks, and there's your trending topic people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. No, they do. They're calling that which is called, we're the better ones than you are, and that's a small energy. And that's because they're actually still like Cain and Abel, because if they weren't, they would be joining everyone and saying we're all different, and that's the utopia that people think is actually never going to happen, while instead I definitely know sooner or later I'm from the future. Humanity will have that which is called this it's not even a utopia. I mean, that word it will be basically intelligence. Consciousness is intelligence. It is not about utopia. It's not about a fictitious you get everything you want, which by the way you do get everything you want when you are intelligent. That's perfection. You know how to wield your mind, you know how to wield your emotions, first of all, and you say, I want it to be a world that's about what feels and is right, all together, and everybody gets seen and soothed and safe, and they're already doing it right now. Look, we don't need to save anyone. They're all great. The therapists are great for the ones who want to heal. The other ones are great for the ones who don't want to heal. I'm here for the ones who want to have a good time just being ourselves and being what they will call assholes. Sure we are. We're not assholes. But yeah, we're all an assholes to someone. So with that being said, you don't get petty. That's why the teenage boyfriend didn't get petty. I just said this is the last time I ever argue with anyone. I know it in my bones, I said, that God's real. And I can't prove it, nor will I. And I know what you're doing because I got taught it by my Christian Catholic upbringing. So that's it. And as I moved forward, once I was with Claire's, I said, hey, God, so listen, I told you about no devil, demon, cloak, people hurting children. I'm not welcome anymore by all of them because, you know, I'm a Reiki master, Akashic record reader. I see things, I hear things, all of that great stuff. I'm not crazy, but you know how it works. So, you know, I'm in communion with God, and he always reminds me not to judge my brothers and sisters of human suffering, a waste of my fucking time, and I'm getting better at it, which is why we're talking about it right now. So this psychology man, to conclude the story, yeah, he ends up on screen letting us know about how if the woman that is the girlfriend, so his words are our fiance or whatever, I forget what words he actually did use, but that he is dating or with has better sex with another man, that he will have wasted his time meeting the parents, spending money on dates. Like, he gives a whole list of chores and that he will have wasted his time and that he will break it off because there's no way in hell that he would be with someone who had better sex with someone else. And I'm thinking, okay, one, that question as you get older is something you don't want to actually ask. Like, I would never ask that. And if I were ever asked it, I would be like, why is this question coming up? Because seriously, like, this is something we don't talk about this way. Not better. Better is childish too. Like, we want to understand that we're all different people with different bodies, different chemistry. Like, I would begin a whole conversation, and that's the minute of where an insecure person would be like, oh, so long story short though, this man who has a psychology bachelor's degree and is telling men how to lead their relationships. He did another video, which is awful as well. I thought was a joke, and said he gets followed by people too. And while he's telling us of insecurities, I'm thinking about the dress and the way he posed it to me, a woman, which is, if you bought a dress that was used, wouldn't you be upset too? And I'm like, I'm not that shallow. If I bought a dress that was used, I would have known that it was used, number one. I wouldn't have actually compared my relationship to man or woman with a dress or a day, the non-binary. I don't remember those words. Sorry, forgive me, but I'll look into that one. And I'm very bad with words. But this man, I was like, who gave him a degree? So once you grow up and you find out every single bit of what healthy self-agents do, and then you think of your childhood, yeah, I'm pretty good. I would have anybody repeat my childhood with my body, though, as Maria, not as you, because I don't know how your brain thinks. I know how mine thinks and how my heart says. Still to this day, I'm not going to be mean to my brothers and sisters who were rejected and who were not loved. And whatever happened, they felt unseen, unheard. I'm completely seen. I'm completely heard. I'm grumpy bear. I'm bossy. I mean, every single bit. You ask my entire family if I'm the loudest one in the room, they will tell you. And even when I'm not the loudest one in the room, they will know my presence. And actually, my lovely younger sister, she makes fun of me. She said, put Maria in the room with the teenagers. Watch who comes out standing and still talking. Yes, right here. And other people will also present that I'm loud. And it's like, yeah, I know how to ask for what I want. And then I know how to shut up if I'm asked to shut up because, you know, I mean, and sometimes I'll shut myself up because, well, that's how it works. So you don't think of, I'm going to end with this one story. There's an activity I got to do with a bunch of people. You know of the activities. These are mindful type activities. And in the entire group, I'm the one who's basically saying that we don't give a shit if the person, so it's basically our owner is going to get rid of us as objects from a bag that fell out. And I'm like, you know what? Because the object that I am is in order for them to get in their house, and like without me they're not going anywhere. No house, no car, no nothing. They're locked out, and then I'm like, and without any of us they're not doing shit. So there you go. And so I'm like all vocal about like the person's not going to be able to do life without us. And you know what, even if they do replace us with everything, they get the car keys, they get the lighter, they get everything, screw them. We're going to find another owner. Someone else is going to use us. And if not, well, we're free to roam the streets however we want. So I had 3 ways of basically making that which is called, they might abandon us, to they can't live without us, to even if they can live without us, we'll find another owner, to, you know what, even if we don't find another owner, fuck that shit. We're all together anyways. We'll be fine. And that's how self-agents work, which is why we do live a life of meaning and connection, though, beyond the solo self. But people will think that we're self-centered, selfish, and assholes. And the difference is, like Terrio points out, we do know that we can be seen as crooked. We just won't whine about it because we will not have, with our intent, came in to hurt anybody's feelings. And when someone says that your intent matters, you don't prove intent, number 1. You're using words again, number 2. And you know what? I follow the law. And that's it. Other than that, it's a subjective experience. So when 2 people are in a room, 3, 4, 5, 6, what we have is subjective opinions. And when someone wants to say society can tell you who you are, society can tell me who they think I am. Society can give me their interpretation of who I am. Society, depending on who I got, and if they're insecure, small-minded grown-ups, well, you better bet that society is over here, because that's all Diego's family, and they are not anywhere near what healthy self-worth society is. And healthy self-worth society will be able to spot charlatans a mile away. Knowledge is important. Keep it all together while our world goes through transformation and change, because they are not afraid of it. And tainting shit with the good and the bad tea. So that's the society that I look to. And all of the ones that I am looking to, they're brilliant. And that's why they're all saved, the children of God. The ones who want to be their self, the ones who want to stay in that which is called their low frequency, they're going to be just great and dandy too. They're just not monsters, please. Evo scale, Michael Stone, again, he has a great scale. The charming ones, the Peter Pans and Lost Boys. The charming are the Peter Pans with their Wendy's, and the Lost Boys are all the people who disregard going to Patrick Tian to get their gut fixed, or Dr. Daniel Fox, or Bezel van der Kolk, and that way they're not manipulable by their own 14-month-old who decided that their teddy bear is the better teddy bear because it likes the cereal they like. And then they're going to play hostile or rude and mean or whatever with the teddy bear that eats a different type of cereal. And that's why when you see 14-month-olds, remember, they didn't choose to not learn how to self-regulate. That's the unfortunate part. So their 0-1-year-old, that's 12 months. The first 2 years before the left brain comes online. At the second, now you begin to have the left. And it doesn't rule those of us who have a right and a left working together, which is why self-help and emotional resilience work is fun, and that's why emotional intelligence is fun, and so is mental, and why ignorance is not bliss, why we also don't argue with anyone, and why we also don't do the pity party of that which is called being mean to people who didn't choose that lack of self-regulation. So what is sad is the part about people not being set up to succeed because their entire environment, meaning their immediate fetus household, didn't give them the opportunity to self-regulate. Breaking it down as basic as can be. If they did the hard work, they know self-regulation, then they're ready for self-help. And that's why it works. And emotional resilience the right way, the good way. If they don't want the hard work, and therefore they disregard that which are all the flags, all the signs, they're going to be hanging out with the cheerleaders and jocks and continue to do what 3D4D has been doing. The only reason those words come here is because I talk about 5D mystics versus 3D4D, and it's not a better group or worse, but 5D is Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness. Christ taught me to forgive. He's the reason I can tell you all about forgiveness. I can tell you about love never dying. I can tell you that the teenage boyfriend, I would have married him. And people who say that they're happy, that they've seen it over, it's because obviously it went a whole different way, but I'm not happy or unhappy. I'm neutral because when the breakup happened, I was aware that there were things that he didn't actually have in compatibility, and one of which was, I don't tell you how to live life. You live life. I'll support you. You do it however you want. and I don't need you to approve of me because I'm not asking for that. And so when you are making a person aware, I'm walking with you out of pleasure, not out of need, not out of, and I'm not in your business the way that, and you have a person who doesn't know what they want in life, that's not something that they sit very well with. But we were 20, so there's being kids. But that's called a coward to a person who knows how to say, yeah, we all have insecurities. What you choose to do in life is going to always lead you to maybes. So if you're not a high performer, well, that's, again, I am a high achiever, performer, all of it doesn't mean perfection. It means I know where I'm going, and I never have looked back and thought I was wrong. No, I can have not enough knowledge to know what was up. So a person who's afraid to succeed and afraid to fail and afraid of themselves, Peter Pan, afraid of his shadow, runs away. Peter Pan doesn't like to hear the parents. Okay, so there's many ways we can look at Peter Pan and see all the adaptive child part people who could heal, get self-agency, get to become their true self, and not follow around jocks and cheerleaders and pretend to be strong. Because flat earthers, for me, they pretend to be strong. They're easily together speaking their truth. The end of the day, the truth is that we have subject matter experts who can eloquently present to us their findings in settings that are called panels of discussion. That's the only time I'm actually hearing that, which would be in my book, truth. Other than that, we got gossip, and we got a bunch of different ones, and that's fun. It's social time. I get to hear what people are thinking. That's not truth for Maria. Maria doesn't take gossip time and social time as truth. Academia is learning. They're still doing the hard work in school. They're looking at their colleagues. They're building what they build in order to support humanity to the next step and the next step. So they're doing something called work. Gossip, social time, not work. Getting to know each other and our differences. Two different settings. And so proof to me is only in academia with them doing together. The ones who want to say they're the experts but they left there, no, your social time now for me, and I'll still listen to you, but I know you're out of the game and you're going to become a dinosaur because you just got convinced that you know more than the colleagues who instead are doing the work, so you got lazy. No, you got cocky, you got lazy. I don't know, something's up, but you better bet you're not a high achiever because you just got out of the game. You don't care about what you're doing, because if you did, you'd say with the, I'm going to keep learning. I keep learning because they're not done teaching us about attachment trauma, and I'm not done supporting people until I die with self-help. So I mean, at the end of the day, why would I ever stop learning about that which I'm passionate? Self-help, helping people, marketing, that too. I'm still looking into more of the AI stuff because that's part of the new toolkit. I'm not afraid of it. I'm a content creator. I'm not actually in any way, shape, or form afraid of AI replacing me. It can't, and it can't replace anyone because it's not a human. But it definitely can be the best assistant ever and the best support ever, because it's completely how you word yourself, how you think, how you help, but also you knowing how to use a tool. Furthermore, it can crawl the entire internet, which is great because once you are knowledgeable, by the way, of your topic, and then you're knowing what the internet is and you know how to fill those gaps, perfection. So I was using ChatGPT, Perplexity. I haven't used a couple other ones for the same question on self-help and stuff that I'm curious about. And as I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, okay, got it. And that's why AI, again, it's a tool like a calculator. And some people say it can make your brain lazy, but that's for the people who don't learn how to do math first or do their own stuff first. But once you're learning how to use it, so that's why educators are important. Teachers are learning in high school, middle school, elementary, college, how to make sure that kids use it right. And so are parents. And so it's, I will let you do the work first. I remember math, no calculator until first you learn how to do it, then calculator. And yeah, your brain does get fuzzy, like with math. I forgot all the algebra I took, but it was also not my strong suit. So I'm just saying, like, people will know exactly how to work through, what is it called? That which is novelty, when they're not afraid of the future, that is. And when they do like to work, it's not hard for us. Social time or doing learning time. And with that, be yourself the smart way, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. We will have another episode, and that will be more along the lines of, I forget right now. I think it's, the ignorance isn't bliss thing. And so, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.